Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second half of that masterclass that I filmed a bit briefly ago. I had an actual technical difficulty with the last one, and now I'm even sitting here in front of this going, am I ready for this? But yes, I am. George Romero directs Night of the Living Dead, and then you have Tobe Hooper with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. These films become like franchises in and of themselves, not with sequels, but like not just with sequels, but like the whole effect of the film becomes the genre of the zombie and slasher era that Psycho before that had defined the slasher thrasher film. And that we were looking upon Grindhouse as a Robert Rodriguez film too, and Robert Rodriguez films go back to the Mariachi and the Faculty and Desperado and Shark Boy and Lava Girl and all the three Spy Kids movies and all the two Sin Cities movies, if there wasn't a third, and then the Machete movies. And there's a lot more that Robert Rodriguez has worked on. I know that he has his band Shingan and Del Castillo that are very important to him and very much a part of his life, and very much what he does is his music, and his music is in his films, which is really cool because it's really nice to be able to make the one with your own score, because then you can envision how it'll match up later if you can remember your song, which takes a task of a sailor to get through to the other side of North Nantucket. But I think it's a real nice thing to say that they're both quality directors and that they're delivering movies that are seeming to be under quality only because that's what the dish up is supposed to be, and it's totally hanging it on the smoking gun that we know, that you know, that we know, that we're just messing with you. But like at the same time, they're serious subjects, because you get the subject of the car, which kills you if you turn in all directions. And that's in Death Proof of Tarantino. And that his usual villain that's looking positive towards us is kind of happening. We kind of have these positive things we think of Kurt Russell until he unleashes the Death Proof car. And then we're looking forward to seeing the revenge on him from the females from Australia who are driving Mad Max style, right? And because I had the technical difficulty I did last time, I think I'm going to preach out that there's no other array of movies that really define Tarantino as much as A, the blaxploitation, and B, the Night of the Living Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then all the way up to Friday the 13th. And I think he doesn't really make horror films, Tarantino. Like, he hasn't really made a horror film except Dusk Till Dawn is kind of accepted as this horror film. And I find that in the heart of it, you know, the directors shine through to the true of what people want to see in movies, like trauma release or something. I'm so stressed from truck driving across America, someone would say, that I sat down and wanted to see Grindhouse where a bunch of zombies get splattered. I mean, the whole idea of watching zombies get splattered is already kind of a video game type excitement that you'd have. Oh, I'm going to kill aliens that are zombies and get points for it, you know, in the Aladdin's Castle type era. But I don't know, man. Tarantino, he does the same thing. I mean, I'm gobbling up popcorn. I'm in the middle of a big drive-through, like the one in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's great because it's another stuntman in trouble, and this time the stuntman is totally ahead of everybody. And like, he just makes it known that he can kill anyone that comes in his path. So that he makes it that known. So does Kurt Russell, but I'm not being ham-handed here by saying that Kurt Russell was obviously going to kill that girl in the Death Proof. I mean, it looked like she didn't see it coming by a mile away. The girl in Death Proof that gets left behind at the cabin didn't see it coming a mile away. And we did see him getting his revenge taken on very carefully by the feminist camera, which we much launch into to totally decorate Tarantino as kind of an enabler for these like female superheroes that can't be beaten down, but are usually in movies beaten down. And that, like in most movies that have females, they get rung through the rail. And then, of course, by the time of Hateful Eight, now we're back to hanging the female because she was the guilty one. After all, I don't know if I trust that message. As Herschel Gordon Lewis as that message is, I don't know if I totally would say that that's what they're trying to get us to trust in. It's like we trust in movies, not really our politics, you know. I mean, if we all trusted on the politics of Godard, who would be the one that was the communist? Then we'd have to really sit through the documents and be like, all right, who registered communist? Oh, I just found one, you know. It's like, no, you didn't, because now you're going to jail for even reading it, man. I mean, that's why the age of Tarantino is nice, that they're not always worried about like the type of thing they're going to happen into, because they can handle anything, but then it always happens to be something that's over their head. In Pulp Fiction, that it's almost over her head. In Jackie Brown, that it's over everybody's head. In Reservoir Dogs, because one's a underground cop, and that like in A Band of Outsiders by Jean-Luc Godard, and these two other films, A Band Apart by Jean-Luc Godard and Pierre Defoe, the gangsters of the film really want to finish first, because nice guys finish first, and everybody knows John Belmondo, even in his most communistic cannibal sage, is a nice guy. So, I still have to tell you, class, which we still have 14 minutes, it looks like, of time, which really, a lot of that was accounted for that I've been doing the speech repeatedly because the camera kept juking out on me. And that's weird in Masterclass, because you don't really know until it happens what you do with one set of media and one set of the other. And that's really why I can prove to you with these two sets of media, or whatever it turns out to be, that you have to put them out of order on purpose to not reconnect them, or they get reconnected in the wrong way because of me and look mainly more in sequence. No, I don't want to bring myself into the show. I sound like the Red Green Show versus Pulp Fiction. I'm like, well, this is how you make a bucket of corn look really precious to your loved one. You know, it's like, come on now. But like, then we have Tarantino. He's like, Psh! He's like, I'm over at your party to totally front on you and all your friends. You ready? You're like, oh, please, I've waited for this day forever. You know, it's like, come on. We're not as cool as you, Tarantino. We're not trying to be. We want to be. But that's what we are, is all a bunch of Tarantino wannabes. And that I had to set the lesson straight on that. Not because of me or anything, but because of a lot of other directors are nothing but wannabe Tarantinos. And yeah, I am one too. But I am a wannabe director, unlike Tarantino, who is a really powerful director, and I only demote myself to regal in his greatness, that there is great things about cinema left. And if he decides, after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or some other film about theater or whatever that he's going to do that down the road, I will support it. And if he goes into making plays forever, I'll support it. As a critic, I don't think that's a very important choice, but I'm making the choice to support whatever lifestyle he wants to get into. If he wants to get into puppeteering, let him. All right? He's an American superstar, an iconoclast, a superstar. So, now we've had that little talk, I can get back to Grindhouse. So Grindhouse has some of the most intense, wild, negative things you could see in a movie. And one thing that's weird about the hospital sequence is that everything that could go wrong possibly goes worse, and that, like, the female actress in the movie is able to keep everything together. Fairuza Balk or whatever, she can keep everything together and still shoot out of her leg and still save the world from total apocalypse. I don't know how she manages to do it in this flash-forwarding film that has Tarantino getting blown up in an elevator. And really, that whole elevator scene was right out of Final Fantasy. I think they were making that elevator scene for Spy Kids or something, and it ended up in Grindhouse. But dirty secrets we will not tell. And actually, one thing I like about these movies is of Rodriguez and Tarantino is they're so big budgeted. They're big budgeted, but they're trusting budgets that they're going to do what we want them to with them. And even though they tell us what that is, we're accepting to that in every way, not just in reverence, because they know how to move the art form to its most moving images over the history of film. And now here at the dead end, they're like the Michael Palin, Emmerich Pressburger of cinema now. And they've captivated all our souls, and they've captivated our hearts and our minds. So we may joke about it, but this is what we need our Tarantino to even get through today. So, and I would wrap up the class on that solemn note of somewhat nostalgic or even sentimental desire, but I want to talk a little bit more about Grindhouse and Kill Bill in comparison, because they compare the two Tarantino styles. One is the exploitation film that sets up and denies things that happen on accident or perchance or because they're going to happen. And because it's films that are in this kind of comic book reality, like Sin City is right from the comic, but that they're reality driven genre because of the grittiness and urbane and even the aesthetic of the art form of the violence and sexual imagery in these films, which tend more to be violent than sexual. But there's always little hints of things throughout, right? One thing we can appreciate about Kill Bill is it's not really sex appeal necessarily that we're looking at. It's more like this woman that can defend herself in front of 40 ninjas. And we're more attracted to that she's a warrior as a woman than we are as needing her to be. But she is very beautiful. All of that, of course. So, Grindhouse has this thing with like cutting back on cliffhangers, only to leave cliffhangers and never telling us what exactly happens, but that we can assimilate it as a linear story is kind of strange because it's two different times and two different places of being in a car chase throughout the whole movie, and that it's a car chase from beginning to end is all bullet and French Connection out. And then it's so, I mean, the both car chases in the movie, and then the third car chase maybe because they chase him back, kick his ass. So it seems like that the Kill Bill movies are set on a linear path, but tell all out of sequence the puzzle to the story, and end and begin in a similar way, except for the ending. She does get her daughter back. Spoiler alert. Grindhouse, nothing really good comes of it except for we're all satisfied that this guy won't be killing famous stunt doubles for famous people anymore with his car, that he was trying to flip his car into traffic and kill anyone that wasn't in the driver's seat, which he would be. And that's his way of killing people. And I'm thinking, man, serial killer truck driver or car driver, that's scary. I didn't, it's like you'd think of something like that, but it reminds you of that John Carpenter's Carrie, where like the car is the demon that's going to kill him. And being in the Carrie era, my car did try to kill me too a few times. It was not entirely operational errors, but that the car was mad at the operational errors could have, led to its cause and effect. And the only reason I'm joking there is because in Grindhouse, you get the cause and effect of the film being that nothing quite hints on an over-the-scene scene until the death of the original eviscerator of life, the death-proof car, and its owner, Kurt Russell's character in the film, who eats a bunch of nacho cheese chips and tells everybody what to do like he's the director. Now, it's really obsolete to go back and say there's always one character that represents Tarantino as director, and himself he really does, because that's what a lot of these characters may do for all filmmakers that we come to know and love, the brand of filmmaking and the brand of assortment that he gives us within this context of his filmed universe. We appreciate as Tarantino's fans. As Tarantino's fans, we go, well, I like it when his characters sound like him or when they don't. I mean, like, he always controls that in such a way. And it's not just like a Woody Allen type personality or anything that he does. He does have one quite like that, but it's like something that pulls you into the movie. And then you're saying only he would do that and only he can do that. And then it kind of switches over context to like, but instead of rubbing it in, we go right into the thing that's like, but here's what no one's ever tried before. And that they escalate in aesthetic value as they go is not accidental within even the Grindhouse era, being like as though they're spending less on the film that would have seemed like it was B-movie aesthetic back in the day, and that they throw back into those B-movie aesthetics is really, I mean, it's the race against time to get these movies out, because these movies would have been out years before, but there's only so many crews that can work on so many movies at the same house, and you can tell Tarantino used his Grindhouse press pass card and went to all the studio lots to film Planet Terror, and that Planet Terror is one of the best car chase scenes, if not the best car chase scene. You know, just like those car chase movies, you know, even more so than Smokey and the Bandit type thing. But, you know, Tarantino has left a mark on the century of all this cinema that was discussing the fall of the world and the decay into nothingness that our lives are. And that he takes it and twists it around and said, yeah, but going down in a burning ring of fire is a lot freaking better than just sitting around to wait to go down. And that's the whole point of Shaun of the Dead later, which is totally making fun of that idea that, like, well, we may be going down and killing the zombies in our population, but, you know, it could get worse tomorrow. And I'm not saying that, like, he's trying to transfer, like, a theme over, but there seems to be, even, again, in the female winning of these films, and Jackie Brown, the female cast, winning the argument and winning the movie and winning us all over, saying, well, they beat down the bad guy at the end of Death Proof, you know, and that they beat down the guy at the end of Death Proof is like kind of disenfranchisement of the one that needs disenfranchised finally. So I can see that there's a feminist overturn at the last minute. I like the feminist overturn at the last minute. The feminist overturn at the last minute, we wouldn't have seen it coming. And in all these other cliffhangers, we go, well, those were cliffhangers out there, but look, the women overturned it. So there was a little bit of optimism to that film too. Grindhouse wasn't there, just a little bit. Like Planet Terror, when the whole hospital blew up, that was the most optimistic moment of that film. All right, we'll talk to you all next time I come. It'll be about 3 or 4 days till we have Masterclass number 8, and we'll be walking back through some of the films we've already talked about, and hopefully get down to earth on some more of the themes and actions we can learn from the films. That there's still quite a few Tarantino films to go to talk about. That's not necessarily what we're going to do next time. We might stay longer in Grindhouse and may get to Inglourious Bastards. We may just get to that after all, because that was in 2009 from Grindhouse, which was in 2006. And we can go through the dates sometimes. 93, Reservoir Dogs. 94, Pulp Fiction. 97, Jackie Brown. 2001, 2002, Kill Bills 1 and 2. 2005, 6, Grindhouse. 2009, Inglourious Bastards. And 2012, Django Unchained. In 2015, Hateful Eight. In 2019, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's a hard one to get all the way through, but there, now you've got the timeline, and we don't even have to go on the internet and look for it. Hang on. We'll talk to you all next time, and I hope you enjoyed Masterclass this week, and we'll be back to teach it as normal on Tarantino next week. All right, thank you.